Hey, this is Drake here. I figured I'd make another build video. It's going off the perfected katana build I had done before. Due to the new update releasing the grimstalker, I've been able to up it even more. And these are the basic stats, but the main ones you get from the new grimstalker armor that I really like are another 3% slash bolster, which gets you up to 6%, and 40% destruction art, which is really good because you break a lot of parts. But I did have to drop the one stroke fury on it, which the destruction art's on the arm, so I had to drop that. But I think it kind of evens out because you get additional 3% slash bolster, 3% on every attack, and then also on the arms and the legs, I believe it is, you get a 10% Hawkeye, which is 10% every time you do a yellow hit, I believe, on a weak spot. And I also was able to gain Sprint Master, which I really like because it allows your stamina to recover even while you're sprinting. Slower, but you know, it does help you get out of some tight situations. But this is the basic. I mean, everything else is the same. I'm gonna go back into that. It does, whoops. It does change your elemental resistance a bit. It puts your fire up quite a bit and down. I mean, everything else is pretty good, but you can see it's a negative 16 on earth element, or maybe that's wood element, I'm not sure. So anything that does that element, you could, if you're having trouble, you could swap back to the other armor set to get some more resilience to that to help with it. But as far as against a fire-based monster, you can really tell the difference on how much damage you take with this armor set opposed to the other, which was leaning more towards water resistant.
Just tell me what you need and I'll give it all my attention.
The armor that I changed out was the chest, which this is from the Grimstalker. As you can see, you get 20% destruction art, 5% Hawkeye, and the Sprint Master. You want to stay in the kimono side of it. Now, actually, the chest does a little bit more defense than the human side, but you lose all your bonuses if you try to. I went human path on the arms to get 5 more in defense, but you get slash bolster, destruction art, and the follow through, which is +3 on your stamina recovery if you do a critical hit. But this build has 0 crit, so that's really a useless skill. Same ways to get the 3% slash bolster, and the slide stepper is good. And then also change the feet to get the 5% Hawkeye and 70% Dodge Master, which decreases your stamina use a little bit on dodging, which is always useful. Now, the only other thing I would say, I had been running these for the resurrection. If you're doing something like a deeply volatile, I would recommend using these. You lose a little damage, but you get that extra life. So, I mean, don't forget to change out your build if you're going up against something where you've only got 1 life thread. Also, let's go into the armor here. On the Grimstalker, the helmet might be a benefit because you get, I mean, you would lose your 5% solar protection and your deaf ears, which would really suck, and your fatigue recovery, but you would gain an additional 3% slash bolster and 8% if you have a single life thread. So above the 5% defense and offense that you're losing, you would gain, I mean, you would gain 11% damage instead of 5%. I mean, so you're getting an additional 6% damage off of swapping this one piece. But you do lose, like I said, the deaf ears and the fatigue recovery, and you lose 5% defense because you're losing your solar protection. But I mean, if you're just looking to get a little more damage out of it, that would definitely be the way to go. Now, the pants I weren't too crazy about because they're mainly toward the human path. You lose all your other effects going that way, and you only gain these two. But I guess if you're building towards a critical build, this would be really good. And okay, you know, that one's pretty good too. But that's it, mainly. As far as the training bear goes, you're going to do the same amount of damage because the 10% you're gaining from critical hits does not, or not critical hits, but on weak points, it does not show up on the bear for some reason. So So you're not going to notice any difference at all. You'll gain the extra 3% from the slash bolster, but that's it. So the 1387 like that, and if you're hitting a weak point on a kimono, you can add an additional 10% to that damage output, which is really big. And the Grimstalker fight, it's fun. I really enjoyed it. But, I mean, he's got a lot of moves that you'll need to learn that can definitely one-shot you. But after you learn it, it's not a very long fight as far as his HP. I think I was averaging around 6 to 7 minutes killing him, and that's not even doing a perfect run. So, very easy to farm, and it really helps your build out a lot. Now, as far as the new weapons go, I wasn't exactly crazy about them, but they could have potential. Like this one, you lose substantial amount of just raw damage, but you gain 40% crit. But what I didn't like is you lose your manifestation release and your 10% battle spirit. So on an enraged kimono, while you're in your unbound state, that's a straight up 50% damage drop when you move to here. Because on this one, it boosts the gauge, and I guess you could subtract this 15% from it, but you know, you're still losing 35% damage. And you've got this one inherited skill, yeah, that you can't remove, so you're going to have to drop one of either your switchblade or one of your attack skills. You're going to have to swap in for this crit boost fury. I didn't feel like it would justify it myself. I haven't tried it, but I didn't feel like you would be seeing more damage output. Now this one looks promising, especially going towards something that's weak towards fire. 520 on fire, you get a 5% crit, and it's also got the 10% flame wielder on it, which, you know, 10% you're going to set them on fire, which makes, if they're weak to fire, it's going to make them lay there while you can just go to town on them. That's very good. And this one too boosts the power of attacks incorporated basic karikiri. So like your triple stack with your katana, you're going to get an extra 10% damage. Spring, anything, you know, your spring jumps, you're going to 10%. And that's really, really good. And I did like that it has no inherited skills. So if you wanted to, and I might do it, I guess leave a comment if you want to see it. I thought about farming it. Oh, and thanks for all the views. I mean, I haven't got in the thousands, but for my videos, 400 and something. That's awesome on the last video. But you could farm these exact same boosting skills, you know, all straight up damage boost, and just carry it over here. But like I said, I mean, you would lose your 50% damage right off the bat, but to gain 520 in fire, something that's weak to fire, it seems like this would just annihilate it. But that's basically it. I mean, I guess leave a comment if you want to see this build in action against any monster of any choosing, I guess. I just tend to lean more towards the informative, you know, build information. Whereas, I mean, everybody's playstyle is different. You see these videos of people speed running and talking about, you know, this, that, and other. A lot of it just varies around your playstyle and how lucky you get on the runs. I mean, Grimstalker seems to have a very innate way of walking around your traps or dancing right on top of them and never activating. So, you know, when you go into it, beware of that. But other than that, have fun and happy hunting.